All right, we're back. We are set up here for the naval battle. The naval battle is not quite as intricate, not quite as involved as what a land battle is. There is no initiative for a naval battle, and the rules dictate that the human player must set up their forces first. Each refugee gets a freighter. So here's the freighter icon, and I've got two of them, and so I need to put them on the board first. And in the land battles, you started with the Martians at the top, and they work their way down. In this case, you're going to put the human unit somewhere near the top and try to work their way down. And I'm actually going to put them both in the corners, and then they need to work their way straight down. I picked at random a sea tripod. They look a little, dropped it there. They look a little bit different than the land tripods. The artwork on them shows them being in the water rather than on land. And let me just say the artwork in this game is uniformly fantastic. Fantastic. So I've randomly chosen one tripod. It was a green tripod, and like the land battle, we then place it. You turn a naval battle card over, and green tripods will go in E. So we'll put that down. We'll place the green tripod in E. Not good for the one freighter. It's not likely that freighter is going to make its way out. So we start the battle, and again, Martians go first. So, freighter. That's the first action. That means move towards the nearest freighter. It does so. If a tripod gets into the same hex as a unit, that unit is captured. If it's not a gun, it's destroyed. If it's a gun, this freighter unit has been captured. A captured unit gives 1 point to the Martians. That puts them up to 10 on the point scale, which means the Martian colonization marker moves up to 1. The second option, or the second act, is a down to the left movement. And so it moves from here where it moved to get the freighter to there. So that's the first turn for the Martians. For the human turns, now please note also, if I'd have had enough experience points or an event card held, I could maybe have warships on the field of battle here, or the sea of battle. I didn't have any of that, so it's just the freighters. All you do for freighters is move 1 hex. And so I move that down. Hopefully, with the movements that the tripod makes, I'll be able to make that freighter escape. Next turn, turn it over. High activity is the card. And for their 2 actions this time, high activity is defined. Hold one moment. Let me check on this because it's actually different for naval battles versus land battles. A naval battle high activity is 2 fire attempts against the nearest unit in range. Well, there's only 1 unit. It is in range. It's 3 hexes away. So there will be 2 fires at that. We need a red, just like before. We do have 1 red. That's enough. That unit has been captured. That's another victory point for the Martians. They'll move up to 1 and on the victory point scale after moving their Martian colonization. And that's it. That's the end of the battle because there are no more human forces on the field. So we'll set back up and we'll end the escape phase and go forward. All right, we're back, and you'll notice that I still have my 2 refugee counter here. Well, those 2 refugees were captured, and so they're taken off the board. And if you notice down here, I now have the Martian colonization on 1 and 1 extra victory point due to the capture of those 2 freighters. So that's the end of the refugee portion of the escape phase part of the turn. The next part of the escape phase, again, is to add up victory points for the human. There were no victory points for escaped refugees, but I still have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 producing regions, and so we add 9 points. That's 1, 2, which puts our germ counter up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so we are at 11 victory points, if you want to think of it that way, for the Martians, and we are at 27 for the human player. We have not yet reached 3 on the germ counter, so there's no new roll for cylinders, and that means that's the end of the escape phase. We move on now to the Martian action phase. Martian action phase actually is going to be pretty slim. I've started with 8. I'm down to 6 tripods, or waves rather, on the map because of the battles that we had earlier. And so only 6 rolls on the Martian action phase table. We'll again start with this one tripod in, at sea. He'll try to make landfall in a green region. At sea green, he goes actually to Maine is where he'll end up. So the tripods are now starting to attack from the northeast. We come down now to the southwest. We've got 3 in Mississippi, 1 in Arkansas, 1 in Texas. We'll start with the one in Texas. A red in a red region means place a piece of the flying machine. Remember, this would be our second piece. However, we still have our EMP bomb, so maybe that EMP bomb can help us out. Green is good, red and yellow are bad. It's yellow, so we do in fact place the first piece of the Martian flying machine. That's 1 out of 4. Not good. Come down now to the Arkansas tripod. Yellow. Yellow, remember, in a red region is an arrival, which means a new tripod becomes part of that wave, but then that wave splits and that new tripod automatically moves. In this case, it's a blue. And from Arkansas, red moves to Texas. And so now I have 2 waves back in Texas. We now roll for the 3 waves in Mississippi. We'll start with the red one near the Delta first. That's green, that's a move. Mississippi moving with a yellow result. That tripod moves to Alabama, meaning out of a devastated region and into a producing region. That's going to be an issue come devastation phase. We'll now go with marker number 2. Whoops. It's kind of cockeyed there. Green, that's a move. Mississippi with a green result moves to Arkansas. And then the last result is again red, so that's another piece of the Martian flying machine. If we weren't using the EMP bomb Tesla Tech, that would be the 3rd piece of the flying machine already produced. But let's see if it's the 2nd or not. Yellow, so yes, it's the 2nd piece. So you place a 2nd piece. That flying machine is now halfway there. And you're starting to see the challenge for the human player in the US East Coast version is there are so many rolls in devastated regions in the Martian action phase that trying to keep that flying machine from being built is darn near impossible. But that's the end. Oh, actually, no, it's not. We've got the number 1 wave up here in Illinois. That's also in a devastated region or destroyed region. We get another red. If we weren't playing with the Tesla rules, that would be it. The game would already be over. That would have been the 4th piece of the flying machine. Let's see. Green. So we've had 4 rolls produce flying machine parts, but because of the EMP bomb, 2 of those, the pieces did not get placed. Good for us. Otherwise, like I said, the game would be over. So that's the end of the movement part of the phase. The next part is the victory point. We'll again roll for the destroyed regions to see if they become redweed. Minnesota, no. Texas, yes. All right. So we'll take the redweed counter and move it to the other side, which is redweed. And the big issue here is victory points. A redweed region is worth 4 points, while a destroyed region is only 2. That's 6 There are no refugees in same regions as tripods, and there are no excessive refugees, so it's just those 6 points. That puts the Martians up to 17, if you will, on the point scale, and humans at 27. That's the end of the human action or Martian action phase. We then move on to the assembly phase. Again, assembly phase only matters if there's an assembly phase event card or a cylinder on the board, and neither of those apply. So we'll move on to the next turn and the production phase. Well, one turn makes a big difference, as you can tell. I've eliminated quite a few tripods, but I've also now got 2 pieces of the flying machine sitting up there, and that's not a good thing. That's kind of the bane of the existence of the U.S. East Coast version of this game, is that flying machine. So I really need to even be more aggressive about taking out tripods in destroyed or red weed areas. Okay, so we're back at the production phase, counting up our points. It's 14, 26, 34, 36, 40 more points. 2 were left over, so we're up to 40, or 42 rather. I am going to roll for another breakthrough on the Tesla coil. You do need 2, so that's 3 points. That'll put me down at 39 production points. I get a roll. It's yellow. That's no good. I am going to spend 3 more points and try again. It's red. Also no good. And 1 more. I'm not going to do any more than this one. Green. All right. I've got my second breakthrough. So that is now Tesla coil is usable. When you get a breakthrough of the Tesla coil, not only can you start using the Tesla coil, but you also receive a Tesla coil right off the bat. Let me find the Tesla coil marker here. Here it is. This is the Tesla coil marker right here. What it does is that in a battle, whenever a tripod moves, before it moves, the Tesla coil gets a shot, and that's at any range. But I need to place this strategically because it does cost 5 production points to move a Tesla coil from the place where it's initially placed. And I'm looking at this tripod wave right here as the wave I want to go after, but I'm not sure where it's going to be, but I'm going to put it in. Gosh, I don't know. I'm going to look at the Illinois movement chart. I think Indiana's the most likely place for that to end up, so I'm going to put it in Indiana, and we'll go from there. Now, I am left with 33 production points, so I'm going to buy an infantry for 10, and I'm going to place that in North Carolina to go along with the field gun that's already there. I'm now down to 23 points. I'm at 23 points. I'm actually going to buy another siege gun for 22 and place that in Michigan. So that puts me down to 1 production point, and that's going to be it. I still have this mass production card sitting out here too for one of these days. Now that I do have the Tesla coil tech, by the way, I can buy more of them for 8 production points. But that's it for the production phase for this turn. Moving on now down to the battle phase. Looking at the board, quite a few human military units, but absolutely no tripods in any of the same areas. But it is a battle event card. Turning it around, it's salvage. Save this card. Gain 5 production points after a battle where at least 1 gun was destroyed. So that's actually not too bad. If I have a battle where a gun is destroyed, I get 5 production points for my loss. So that's not bad at all. The next card, by the way, is a human action phase, which we'll see in just a few moments. All right, that's it for the battle phase. We move to the devastation phase, so let's take a look. The one wave is still in a destroyed region. These all down here are in a redweed region, so none of those will partake in the devastation phase. But this lone red tripod in Alabama and this lone green tripod up here in Maine will both roll on the devastation phase chart. They are both single tripods. We'll go with the red one in Alabama. That's green. That's a heat ray. The Alabama region will lose -1 workforce. That puts it down to 9. And we gain 2 refugees that go in Alabama. So we have 2 refugees now there. Taking a look at the Maine tripod, again, it's a single tripod. Green is heat ray, so it's the same exact issue here. -1 workforce moves that down to 11, and you really don't want to lose any more there because that's 6. And again, 2 more refugees to place up in Maine. So I'll have to make adjustments there to get rid of those refugees. That's it for the devastation phase. We now move on to the human action phase, and that is the next event card is a human action event. We look at the card, Guerrilla Warfare. Save this card. You may spend 5 production points to roll a die. Green destroys a tripod. Yellow, during the next Martian action phase, 1 wave will not act. And red, freely place an infantry in any state. Well, gosh darn it, that looks pretty nice. And I don't have enough production points right now. I only have 1. But I think as soon as I get 5 production points, I'm going to spend that and maybe get one of these red region area tripod waves to not act. All right, so we're at the human action phase, so we need to make some movements. These 2 refugees will join the other one still in Michigan, so we've got 3 refugees now in Michigan. These 2 refugees will move 2 states up to Kentucky, and these 2 refugees will move 2 states down to New York. They'll both make Michigan the next turn. So we're done there. Additionally, I'm going to move both of these military units from Wisconsin to Illinois, and I'm going to move these 3 military units down to Indiana. And you know what? I'm actually going to place that Tesla coil in a stand because it'll take up less real estate on the board, and it can get crowded here. All right, so I've got a bunch of military units that are now starting to crowd the Midwest, and that one wave of 5 tripods still in the Midwest. These 2 military units are going to stay in North Carolina. So we move on now to the escape phase. Assembly event, by the way, is the next card. Escape phase, we do have 4 refugees that are going to attempt to flee. Remember, green or red is an attempt to flee. Yellow is nothing, and we've got 4 of them. So we've got 1 attempting to flee. The second one is not. The third one is. And the fourth one is. So we've got 3 refugees that are fleeing, and we need to replace that 1 that's staying behind. All right. So we've got 3 refugees fleeing from the harbor in Michigan, and now we need to roll for a sea encounter chance. Again, a green means no encounter and the refugees get away. Yellow would mean red would mean a sea battle. So let's give it another chance. Hope for green, and it's red. This is not good. This means we'll have a naval battle with 2 tripods. Remember, the last naval battle we had was just with 1 tripod. So give me a second here, and we'll set up the naval battle and go forward. We're ready to go here now. We've got our naval battle ready to set up. We've got our 3 freighters with our 3 refugees, and we've got our 2 randomly chosen tripods. This time they're blue and green. Again, remember, the human player sets up first, so I'm going to put 1 here, and 1 up right here. Don't really want to put 1 on C necessarily because a tripod can start on C. And speaking of that, I've shuffled my naval battle cards. Let's see where my tripods are starting. The green one starting on A, and the blue one starting on D. So that's where we're at to start the game, or the battle, I should say. We've got 2 tripods and 3 freighters. Again, the Martians act first, so let's see what happens. And we go down in color order, so the green one will always be the first to act. Freighter, so it moves up 1, and then it's asking me to move down and to the left, and the rules state that if you get a movement that takes it off the board, unlike in a land battle where a movement like this would cause it to just move down 1, it actually moves 1 towards the center of the board, which is this X here. So that tripod moves there. Now we go and we look at blue, moves towards the closest. Well, that would be this one, so it moves there. And then up to the left, which is indeed the middle point of the board. And now I'm ready to do my human movement. I'm going to move down. I don't want to I really want to put this freighter here, but I don't want to put 2 freighters in the same hex, because that means 2 freighters can be captured with 1 movement by the tripods. And so I'm going to do something I don't want to do, and that's move him here, and I'm going to move him to there, just to get a little spread out and a little further away from the tripod. So that's the first turn. We go to the next turn. Again, it's green first. Arrival. What arrival is you take a random, in this case C tripod, and it goes on the C starting point of the map, and I've randomly drawn yellow. Well, my freighters are kind of surrounded, and it's even doubly bad because if you have an arrival during a battle and it comes after the color that acted, in this case it did, it also gets to act on the card, which is freighter. So it moves to the nearest freighter, which is here. That freighter is now captured and off the board, and 1 point for the Martians. And then its next option is up and to the left, so it goes there. And now we have blue. Well, it says fire, and it's got 2 freighters, both 2 spots away, so I get to choose which one it fires at, and I'm going to have it fire at this one. And again, it's 2 spots away, so a yellow would be a hit. It is a hit. That's all it takes. That freighter is destroyed. Well, not destroyed, it's technically captured, and that's another victory point. And then the other option here for the blue is to move up and to the right, and then my freighter, I'm just going to move down 1. Things are not looking good for my freighter in escaping here. We now move to the next turn, and we have green, yellow, and blue. So green, move to the closest freighter, and then move up and to the left, so it moves right back. Yellow says move to the closest warship. There is no warship. And then move to the upper right, which moves it right back to C, so it didn't do anything. And then we have blue, which says fire and warship. So it gets 1 fire on my freighter, and if I can survive this, I have a fighting chance. So we'll take a roll here. 50-50 chance. A green is it for the freighter. And we get a green, of course, which means this 3rd freighter is also captured. That's another point, victory point for Mars, which puts the on 10, which means the colonization counter moves up to 2. So right now the Martian victory points are at 20, the human victory points are at 27. That's the end of the naval battle. All 3 freighters lost. Absolutely no escaping for my guys. And all 3 tripods survived. The good news is there is that in a naval battle, all tripods go back to the group instead of staying on the board. So let me set back up and we'll continue on. All right, we're back. I have put the naval tripods back in the pool. I have already changed the victory points, and I need to remove these 3 refugees from the game as they were captured by the Martians, and that's not good. So there are no escape victory points during the escape phase, but I still have the normal number of producing territories, and that's still 9. So we're at 27, 1, 2, 3, and that'll move my germ counter to 3. And if you'll recall, we have something special for that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm up to 36, but I'm up to now 3 on the germ counter. Now there is one more step to the escape phase that we haven't done yet, because it doesn't happen for the first time until you reach 3, and that is a new cylinder. The third cylinder will enter play for the Martians, and so we now roll to see where that third cylinder will land. It's red. It lands in Florida. Now that's not bad. It keeps it out of the Midwest area where we're having hopes of getting rid of that tripod. But I also have no military forces down here. But red during the assembly phase, which we now will have to roll on because of this cylinder, we have a cylinder, is also going to be the hardest area for the tripod to or the wave to be formed. I will now also put the 5 tripods in the cylinder 3 area. I've got a green one. I've got a red one. And a blue one. And another blue one. And we've now reached a point where I'm actually out of standee stands. There are no further stands available, and so I'm actually going to cheat, and I'm going to take some stands from the England version of the game and use those. However, these standee stands are extremely tight at the beginning. Once you've used, and I get a blue one tripod here, they're extremely tight. To the point of needing to work with it a little bit. And I've actually already broken one trying to work it enough to open it up. And I've now got that one in there. And I do this simply because the U.S. East Coast version of this game can get very crowded with all the units on the map. And if we were to just lay the markers flat down like that, there just wouldn't be enough room. And so I'm going to dig into my set of extra standee stands just to save space. All right, that's the end of the escape phase. We now move to the Martian action phase, where all tripods on the map will act, or all waves I should say. We've still got 5 down here in the southwest, 1 in Alabama, 1 up in Maine, and that's it. For what's on the map at the moment. So we're going to start with the one up in Maine, and it's in a green area, and we roll green, and remember, green die roll is always movement. So let's see where that one in Maine rolls. It rolls for green. It moves to Massachusetts. Now, one thing to point out here, not all states are on the map. And I don't know if you can tell here in Massachusetts, on the map, Massachusetts is actually made up of the states Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Additionally, down here, the D.C. area is made up of Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Delaware. Pennsylvania also has New Jersey and a little bit of New York added into it. At first, I thought maybe that was a misprint, but it's not. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's supposed to be. But anyways, this tripod is now in the Massachusetts area. And it's starting to make its way down to Washington, D.C., so I need to start thinking about getting some military forces in the way here to guard the northern access, like I'm starting to do down here with the southern access. It should be noted the Tesla counter in New York is not capturable, so even if the tripod moves to New York, I'm okay there. All right, moving on, the Alabama, we get yellow. And Alabama is in a green producing area, A green producing area yellow is a repair roll. Now, you'll recall earlier we had a damaged tripod. This one is not damaged. If it were damaged and we get a repair, it would now be back to full strength. Because it's already at full strength, that is a no action. So that's good. We've now got, actually I'll go ahead and do the one in Illinois first, wave 1. And Illinois is in a green area. It's move. And remember, I moved all of these guys to Indiana and put my Tesla coil there in the expectation that it might move. So Illinois, yellow. Well, as luck would have it, that goes to Kentucky. So that's not good for a lot of reasons, which you'll see in a second. Not only do I not have, well, it's both good and bad. It's bad because my military forces are all in Indiana and Illinois, but it's good because I'm now in a different region and will no longer have a role for the Martian flying machine. I'm also going to end up losing those 2 refugees here in a second. All right, now we go down to the southwest. We'll start with Mississippi. That's a yellow. Yellow, remember, is split, or a rival in split. So I've drawn a blue one. Let me grab another standee stand, and again, give me a moment to work on the stand to loosen it up just a little bit to get the standee in it. Okay, got that done. And we place that standee because it moves from Mississippi. It's a green movement. Green moves to Arkansas. All right, so he's down in Arkansas. We now have these 2 waves already in Arkansas. This is it's a movement for wave 2. Whoops, and that was 8. Green Arkansas moves to Mississippi, so those 2 just kind of change spots. And now we have the yellow one in Arkansas. Whoops, did it again. That was 12. That was also 12. Red. That's for a piece of the Martian flying machine. Let's see what happens. Again, with the EMP bomb, a green means that flying machine piece does not add anything else, and we're in real trouble. Yellow. We're in real trouble. That is now the 3rd piece of the Martian flying machine that has been added. Only one more is necessary to make it in. And the game would be over. And I still have 2 more rolls on the chart to see if that flying machine is active. We'll roll for the black one. That's red. Here we go. If I get anything but green, the game is over. And it's yellow, the game is over. And that, my friends, is the big issue with the U.S. East Coast version of this game. Things seem to be going very well. I've cleared out the entire Midwest. There are no more waves there. And I've even managed, this game started, remember, with 8 waves on the board. And there's only 9 waves left on the board. And I even built the EMP bomb in the very first turn, and it helped. There were a couple of Martian flying piece waves that did not make it. But that's it. The game's over. I've lost with the flying machine being built. Even though I'm ahead on victory points, 36-20, I've lost. I don't know what the answer is here. I have played now about 15 games of the U.S. East Coast version of this game, and every single one of them has ended with the Martian flying machine being built. I've used both with and without the EMP bomb. I usually get a little bit further with the EMP bombs in place than I did this game. I'll usually get the Martian counter up between 4 and 6. I even actually made it to 7 once. But it's a little frustrating when this continues to happen again and again and again and again. And I'm not the only one. Other people, according to posts on Board Game Geek, are seeing the same issues. Now, I have a degree in computer science and statistics. What that means is that I've gone through and I've actually measured some of the probabilities for getting the Martian flying machine built. And to be honest, the odds are not good for the human player. I was very aggressive, but you can only be aggressive in one direction. You cannot be very aggressive in two directions. If, as what happened with here in this game, two separate regions become red, which means they can produce a Martian flying machine piece, in the very first turn, odds are almost zero that you're going to get much beyond what we did. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe I'm missing something in the strategy. And again, that's why, one of the reasons why I made this video series here today. I would like to know, what did I do wrong? What strategies did I not employ that I should have? Am I playing a rule wrong, perhaps? I don't know. But I'd really appreciate any and all feedback that you might have. I really like this game. I really do. I have the England copy of the game. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. But from what I've seen from Wayne Hansen's videos and reading some of the other messages on Board Game Geek, the flying machine is not nearly as big of an issue in the England game. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts, your ideas on what's going on, what thoughts you might have. I've got a couple of ideas flinging around inside my head about house rules, but I haven't tried them to put them in effect yet. But I'd really like to hear what you guys think, what you might, house rules or other ideas, other strategies that might mitigate the Martian flying machine menace, the Martian menace. So anyways, there it is. You've got to see everything about the game other than adding a new wave, and we even got to the cylinder but not adding the wave. You got to see land battles, multiple land battles. You got to see multiple naval battles. You got to see Tesla tech being researched and put in action. About the only thing we really didn't get to see was the Tesla coil in action. You saw a powder keg do its thing, and so on. So there it is. Again, I love this game. I really do. There's a really, really, really good game here. I'm just a little... I just believe the Martian flying machine, something needs to happen there. Whether it's a house rule, whether it's a rules rewrite, something needs to happen in order to give the human player a fighting chance. So that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and post these videos. Please, any and all feedback is welcome. And thank you, and until next time.